Hey guys, welcome back. You know, First time investors have a scary proposition. I remember back when I first started, I got my account set up at my platform of choice. I put a fair bit of money in, and then I sat and wondered, okay, what now? What do I do? How do I know what's going to work for me? What's the best investment that I can get into? And it's very intimidating because there's so many resources out there and so many people telling you go into this, go into that, or telling you about things that you need to go look at. Do your research is a common theme, everybody says. But what is research? And research means many different things to many different people. So it can be very, very intimidating. And I know I was. And as afraid as I was, in some cases, I jumped into some certain things, and turns out it wasn't the best thing to do. So, what I wanted to talk about in this video is some of the things that are quite easy for you to look at and make a decision based on some information that's right in front of you, and it's as plain as the nose on your face. Now, I will say there are thousands of different ways to research a stock or an ETF and decide whether or not you want to get into it. And past performance is never an indication of future performance, but sometimes it can give you a pretty good indication as to whether or not your money is going to be safe in what you're going to get into. Stick around and I'll go into a little bit of detail on that. So, I'm going to show you a couple of different charts in a minute, but before I get into that, I did make the comment that past performance does not indicate future performance. And that's one of the things I want to start with. Companies that are coming out just now, brand new IPOs, just hot onto the market, the problem with them is we have no idea if it's going to be successful or not. We have all the hunches in the world, but sometimes looking at a stock and its history allows you to make a more informed or better informed decision, because you can read about the company. What are their plans? What are they do? Are they growing, or have they been around long enough that they're no longer in the growth stage? They're just simply giving back dividends and making money. And so this video is more geared towards those companies that have been around for a while and that do have a history for you to go back and look on. And of course, there can always be changes in business strategy. There can be events within the business that are going to positively or negatively affect. But for the most part, we're assuming this company is just business as usual. So, having said that, let me show you a couple of different charts here. So, even if you were the most novice of novice investors and I showed you these three graphs, you would have to admit that these are three investments that I would love to be a part of. Um, Again, left to right, that is the max history of three different companies. The price back in, I believe, 1995 or 96 for one of them, 95 for the other two, and then the price as of today. And if you look at the flow of that graph, the one in the middle sure has some bigger dips. All three of them have dips to some degree, but the one in the middle has a fair sized dip. But all three of them over time, and this ties back to other videos that I've talked about. The stock market goes up, the stock market goes down. And if we zoom in on any one of these three companies and we look at a particular point in time, it might look like, good Lord, this thing is going under. It's not going to survive, especially the one in the middle. However, when you zoom back out and you look at time, and again, back to the last few videos I've done, if you're a younger investor, time is on your side, because as much as the market goes up and down, it consistently rises, but it just takes time to do that. So these three investments on the screen, I'm going to release who they are in just a second. But I'm also going to say, just before I show that, there's a reason why people call companies blue chip stocks. Blue chip basically means they just make money, they just pay out dividends, or the growth within those stocks is just constant. And so there's something really to be said for that. As I said, things can always happen within a company. There can be a major event that can negatively impact the business, but over time, good companies even recover from bad things that happen within their business. Okay, so finally time for the reveal. There they are. Top company is Fortis, and you've heard me talk a lot about them. They are one of the Canadian sweethearts. They're on the Canadian Dividend All-Star list, and they've just grown year after year since 1995, paying out a very, very handsome dividend. The company in the middle, TELUS. TELUS is a company that I'm seeing a lot of folks right now talking about, asking, should I get in? Is this a good price point? Is this a good buy? I guess from my perspective, and this is not advice, yes, it is a good buy, and yes, it is a good time to get in. You see, TELUS is the one of the three that does have the bigger drops, but again, over time, they consistently show growth. And for me personally, have being invested in all three of these really, but doing my own research on TELUS, I've seen there's certain reasons why things got a little bit tight, like in 2022 when they had major capital expenditures and it looked like they weren't able to cover their dividend. Well, 2023, they're not having those capital expenditures. They're pretty much done the work that they were going to be doing. And not only are they able to cover their dividends, they've increased it for 2023. Last one there, CN Rail. Again, just a fantastic company, a moat, if you will. There's only one other major competitor in Canada, and just solid growth, especially within the last, probably I would say 10 to 15 years, really, really gone up. Those last two, I've really seen a lot of questions lately from people on social platforms asking, is this a good company to get into? So the whole point of this video is not to stress buying these three companies. Again, I don't give out advice like this, but to look at charts. This is a simple chart, a max chart from the time this company came out to today. And as you can see, your money is going to grow over time with investments like these. So sometimes you don't need to do the great, huge, deep dive into annual reports and such. I fully support you doing that, but just look at a simple graph and you get a good feeling as to whether or not this company has a good history behind it. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate you sticking around. As I always say, this has not been investing advice, just hopefully a little tool that you can use looking going forward. If you've enjoyed this video, as I always ask, please consider hitting that like and that subscribe button. And until next time, take care and we'll talk to you soon.